Hi guys, today's tutorial we're going to put this guy hanging onto a plane in the background of this girl's window. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get the picture of the guy, and because we're using Photoshop 2020 we can go to the object selection tool up the top here. We've got all these that you can click. Object selection tool, we're just going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see what we're dealing with, and we just roughly trace around him. And let's see how we go with this. We might have to do some extra detail. Let go and see what it does. It does a pretty good selection there, so that's great. So what we're going to do, we're just going to get the move tool. Just pick the image that we're going to put it onto, this one, right? Just going to drag it up, open that one, and put it straight in like that. Okay, now we're just going to zoom in a bit to see what we've got. Now that looks pretty good. Now, what we're going to use with the move tool, we're just going to turn him around because we want him to face the other direction. So we're just going to have to edit, transform, and flip horizontal. So that's where we want him. Now, on the transformation box here, you can see a little arrow coming up. There's one that goes to the corner to corner. That's the one we want. So we're going to have it something like that. We want to match his hand to there. So we're just going to bring it down to something like that. So we're just going to zoom in further with move tool. I'm just going to put it in position so that his hand is actually looks like, so his thumb's going to be the one that's going to be hanging over the wing. This part we're going to erase. So have something like that. So it looks like he's actually hanging onto it. Now it's going to zoom back out a bit. Now he's a bit too big there. He's a bit too big for the image. When you look at the relevance of him with the plane, he wouldn't be this big. So we're just going to drag him down in size, something like that. That looks good. Have him like that. And just going to zoom in. Now where his hand is there, see how on the outside here we've got, you can see this little white line. Okay, now to get rid of that, you go to image, you go to layer, matting right on the bottom, and defringe. That defringes the edge. Width is 1. That's what we want. See? Got rid of it straight away. So that looks really, really good. So it looks like we've got a nice clean edge. Now, just with his hand here, okay, a lot of people keep on saying to me, oh, why do you use the razor tool? I don't like using the razor tool. Okay, fine. So we're not going to use the razor tool. We're going to the image again. We're just going to put it so that it's a little bit more along those lines like that. That's good. So a lot of people say don't use the eraser tool. Okay, so we're going to go to mask on the bottom of the layers here. You've got that mask thing, mask option. Make sure you got that clicked, not that. Click that, the white mask. Go up to a paintbrush tool. Get it down to a nice small size. And make sure that you got black selected. If you got white, it reveals. Black conceals. So what we're going to do, we're going to paint out his hand here. Now if you can't see exactly what we're dealing with here, you want to see the background, just take the opacity down a bit so it's a bit more see-through, transparent, so you can see the background. And we're just going to go like this, go around, paint around here. We want some shadow there onto the wing from his thumb, so we leave some of that shadow there. Okay, and we'll put the opacity back up again. I'm just going to round that off a bit there. So it looks a bit more realistic. But then again, that part there is a bit too harsh. So we're going to take the white. We're just going to get a bit of a circle, a bit of an angle like that. So that looks better. Okay, so we're just going to zoom out. And it actually looks like he's actually hanging on to the actual wing. Now I've just noticed here, this white part here. We're just going to get the paintbrush tool, select black, and get rid of that white. A bit too much, that's alright, get the white back again and put some part. And a little bit there. If it's too big, paintbrush down in size. Okay, just get rid of that white because that was really sticking out. It's another bit there too, so we'll just get rid of that. Alright, there we go, for argument's sake. Now I've downloaded these images for free and I put the links in the description down below what site I dragged them off. So they're all for free, so you can do what you want with these images. That's great. Now, before we go any further, we want to blur this image because the wing is all a little bit more blurred compared to him. So what we're going to do, we're going to click on the side of the layer here, just here on the side, on the right hand side of it. Click on it and go convert to smart object, and we're going to rasterize it. So click it again and rasterize layer. Now we want to blur him so that he matches the wing. So we go up to filter, blur. Now if we go blur more, it might do it too much. No, that's all right. Might need a little bit more. Blur more again. We're nearly there. Could have gone calculation blur. But anyway, blur more again. That looks good. Yeah, we'll just zoom out. Go back in a little bit. Now the color coordination here with the contrast and all that is a bit out. So this is a bit more dull compared to him. Now there's two ways you can do this, either correct the background one or correct him. So what we're going to do here, we're going to, because we want this image to fit in with this photo, which is quite sharp and crystal clear. Okay, now let's see what we're dealing with here, because we want the background. In the background here, it's going to be a bit more blurred. It's not going to be as sharp as this part of the image, because this is where the camera is inside, and anything that's in a distance is going to be blurred because it's out of focus. So what we're going to do with him, we're going to go up to image, adjustments, and we're just going to go to hue and saturation. And the saturation, we're just going to bring it down. You can see him changing. If I go right down, you can really see how much he's changed. So I'll bring him down to something like that. And lightness, I'll bring it down a tad, not too much. All right, and the hue, I won't really muck around too much because that'll just upset things. So I'll leave the hue. Now image, adjustments and color. Now, because it's a bit more grey and blue on the background there, it might just turn a bit more bluish, and then bring the cyan down a bit. That looks better. Now he is still a little bit too sharp compared to that. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. If we go to that, it'll go too much. We'll put it something like that. That's good. Yep, that's looking better. That looks better. Now, you can duplicate that. Right click, duplicate layer. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to make him say it's a bit more of a blur, like a motion blur. So filter, blur, and then you go down to motion blur. And it comes up with this little axis thing here. So he's actually a little bit like that. Distance, we can put a bit more distance into him. That looks good. If we go back out, he's a bit too blurred, so that's all right. So what we're going to do, we're going to drag that layer underneath this one. Now if we zoom in, you can see what we're doing with it. If I turn the blur one off, see the difference? Okay. Now with this one, get the selection tool, and because it's underneath this layer, if I just click, it'll automatically go to that one. So I'll just click back on it and use the arrow tools. Just going to use the arrow tools to go left, all right, and down a bit. That'll do us. A bit too much, I suppose. That'll do. That's better. So it looks like he's a little bit blurred because he's actually moved, or he's flying. We're just going to flatten the layer. So we go up to layer, flatten image. You can do all sorts of things here. You can go up to image, auto color, and it gives you that nice blended look, whereas what you've added to the other photo, the two layers put together now, you auto correct the color so it all matches. So that's good. And if you go up to auto tone, do stuff like that to really give out some distinctive contrast as well, stuff like that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go to select all, get the move tool, drag it up, I'm going to open up this other document and put it in there. I'm going to zoom back out, fit the screen, get the move tool, one of the corners, bring it down in size, keep on bringing it down in size till we get to something like, something more realistic, something like that. Now, any selection tool just to deselect. Background, what we're going to do, because it's a lot easier this way, we're going to right click, we're going to duplicate the background later, okay, and drag it on top of him, like that. Now this is what we're going to delete. We're going to delete this part here. Now unfortunately what's going to happen, I think some of her hair is going to be missing as well on this one. But anyway, let's see how we go. Now, because we're dealing with Photoshop 2020, like we said before, the object selection tool, we can use that and see how we go. We're just going to travel around here. Very, oh, geez, this is a real rough job. And see what it does. Now, it's done a pretty good job except for these little areas. Turn it off from what we're dealing with. Okay, now we've got to fix those up. So we'll just zoom into these areas and get any other selection tool like lasso tool. Hold down the shift key. See a little plus there? We're going to do that. The cursor comes up with the plus. That's with the shift key. Now if you hold the command key, if you hold the option key, it's minus. The shift key is plus. That means you're adding a selection. That means we've got to trace around this area, let go, and let's put that back in. It's added it in. So you're going to go to the minus tool, and now we're just going to subtract that area. So we don't want that area selected. And same here, we don't want that area selected. All right, now this area here, we don't want that selected. But we hold the shift key down and we add that selection, sorry. Hold down the spacebar key and you can move the whole entire image around. And that's all the layers as well. Now see here, right on the edge here, it's the most important. Now, we're going to deselect because this is too blurred, this image. So we're just going to use the eraser tool. I won't use the eraser tool because people go crazy if I do that. Mask, paintbrush tool. Hold down the R key to rotate the whole entire image. Now, what we're going to do with the paintbrush tool, we're just going to start painting around these areas here. Now, what I'm going to do first, before I go any further, I'm going to sharpen this. So, filter, sharpen, sharpen more. It really pixelates the whole image doing this. Now I'm just going to go around this again. Now, after I've done this, I'm just going to blur this image so that these edges will match the other layers. Hold in the spacebar key and the R key now to rotate it. And you go around like this. Now, unfortunately, her hair, like I said before, we're going to have some problems with the hair here. So there's other ways of getting around the hair and everything else, like eliminating hair from background. There's a lot of other tutorials out there. I've got a couple in my videos as well, how to do that, but we're not going to go there today. Holding our spacebar key to move it in position, holding the R key, and you can rotate the image. Okay, now I've done that part. I'm just going to zoom back out. Now, just going to go around the area now with the lasso tool. And I'm just going to trace around the area that does water erase. And I'm just going to delete. So if I'm going to do that, I'll click on the actual image and delete. Don't use the mask because we're no longer using the mask. The mask is when we're using the pen tool. Now, unfortunately, with her hair here, we're going to have some problems, but we're going to blur this image and hopefully the hair, strands, particles here. You might be able to get away with that. Hold in the R key and bring it back up. Zoom out. So we kind of hold in the R key and see it comes up with those edges like that. It's quite cool. So it looks like the guy is actually outside the plane there, and this girl's just looking with the mobile phone in the hand, thinking, "Oh my god!" So we're going to click on the image and reposition it now. Now we wanted something along those lines. We're going to make it a little bit more smaller. So it looks like she's actually in the plane, and this guy is hanging on for dear life. Zoom back up, and we're more or less like done. So what we're going to do with the top one, we're going to right click and convert it to a smart object. Right click and rasterize it, and we're going to blur it. So filter, blur, regression blur, and we want to have it a little bit more blurred. Oh, we go back. Blur, regression blur. Don't want it too blurred, but we want it blurred enough so that the edges. So here with the little box, you can just select there and get a bit of a preview of what we're looking at. So that's a lot easier. Now look at the hair, it's all blurred, which is good. Now for the background layer there, the filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and that looks good. Might have a bit more blurry, something like that. Now it's a bit too colourful. So image adjustments, hue and saturation. We'll bring the hue and saturation down a bit. Okay. Now we're going up to image adjustments, exposure. Might bring the exposure down a tad. Gamma correction, bring that back a bit. So it looks a bit more like that. That looks good. Offset I don't usually muck around with because these things like that and it looks a bit too fake. Don't usually muck around with that. Try not to. Okay. Now we're going to darken that. Image adjustments, brightness and contrast. Just bring the brightness down a bit. So the whole idea with Photoshop is just mucking around with all these tools. Okay, we have to blur it a bit more. And I'm pretty sure that looks good enough for us. So I'm going to hold in the Command key and select this one. I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm going to add the color black. Deselect. Go up to normal. Now if you come down to something like multiply, nothing will happen because that's not what we want. Overlay, soft light, these are the ones just here. These are the ones that we more or less want to deal with because we're talking with black. If you go right down to these sections here, you're looking at all different types of ideas and stuff's happening to all the color. So we can go to saturation, and what we're going to do, we're going to bring it down a tad. So we've got a bit more color there. So if I turn it off, turn it back on, it just blends in everything else. So layer, flatten image, and there basically there's a guy hanging off this plane in the background. So that's how you do it, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.